Okay, this is a continuation of 13.3, part 1. So earlier in this one, we were talking about writing the equation for the nth term of an arithmetic sequence, identifying whether or not it's arithmetic. And now we're going to take that a step further and find specified requested values. Okay, now when you're looking at this, we're going to do this problem and write down our steps as we go. So it's asking us to find the 20th term if the first term is 25 and the common difference is -3. Now, if all I gave you was that on a test, you wouldn't really be able to go any further. So I'm going to tell you that all of this, because that's what this section is about, is applying to arithmetic sequences. So because we know it's arithmetic, I would right away write down the arithmetic formula. So a sub n equals a sub 1 plus, don't forget that plus, so plus n minus 1 times d. So as soon as I see it's an arithmetic sequence, if I'm trying to find something out about it, I should be writing the equation for a specific term, especially since this is asking us to find a specific term. Okay? Once I do that, then we need to identify the information. So we're going to substitute the information into here. So when it says find the 20th term, that tells me a sub 20 is what I'm looking for. I don't know what that is. That's what we're trying to find. Then it tells me the first term is 25, right? So a sub 1, we know, is 25. And as we read on, it says the common difference is -3, so that tells me d equals -3. So then I can go ahead and substitute that information into this formula. So we are trying to find a sub 20. And we know it's equal to a sub 1, which is 25, plus, now the issue is we didn't write down what our n is because we didn't find that up here. So the question is, do we know what our n is? Well, isn't n the number of the term that we're looking for? So what term are we looking for? We're looking for the 20th term. So since I'm looking for the 20th term, the number of the term I'm looking for is 20. So that's what goes in place of my n. So then 20 minus 1, and now in place of d, I can put -3. So that is all step 1. Step 1 is to substitute given info into formula for nth term, which is exactly what we did here. Now, I always kind of do this as a check for myself, but at this point there should only be one variable. Only one variable in equation. So at this point. So if I had put an n here, I would have had two variables, a sub n and n, and I would have known that I did something wrong. You're only allowed one variable at this point because if I'm going to solve, we can only have one variable. In this case, the variable that we're trying to solve for is a sub 20. So now that we've substituted in, right, we can go ahead and we can actually simplify this, right? So a sub 20 equals 25 plus 19. Now be careful, I thought that was -3, but it was supposed to be multiplication, so you should probably put it in parentheses so you realize you're multiplying by -3. And now 19 times -3 would be -57. So 25 plus -57 tells me that a sub 20 equals -32. And now my variable that I'm trying to solve for is all by itself. So the second step, which is what we just finished, is to solve for remaining variable. Solve for remaining variable, which we have done now. Then the question is, where do we go from here? Well, it really depends on the problem. So step 3 is identify if you found the answer. So in the question it says, find the 20th term. Did we just find the 20th term? Yeah, this is the 20th term. So I can say, so I know if I found it, if found answer, then you can stop. So I can stop here. I can save my sentence. So the 20th term is negative 32. However, there are times when you're not going to be able to stop right there. If you cannot stop, if you have not found answer, do steps 4 and 5. Okay? And step 4 is to write the general formula. And then substitute known info in and solve for the requested value. And I will tell you, about 2/3 of the time, these extra steps are something you're going to have to do. So let's do example 6 then. So example 6 asks us to find D. So our goal is to find D. And we already know, I've said it already, that this is going to be based on an arithmetic sequence. So right away I'd be doing a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times D. All right, so let's start identifying our pieces. Well, we know a sub 1 is 10 because it tells us. We know a sub 8 is 18. So this is telling me right now that we are looking at the 8th term. All right, so a sub n, a sub 8, these are really the same thing because this is saying the value of a specified term. Well, in this case, my specified term is a sub 8. So I know that a sub n is actually 18 because it's referring to the 8. And I know that n equals 8 because that is the value, the term's value here. Okay, so we know these pieces. We also know a sub 1 equals negative 10. So I can substitute 18 in for a sub n, because this means the value of any term, and especially a term that's not 1. Well, we know the value of the term is 18, so we can put that in there. A sub 1 is negative 10 plus n. Well, 18 and n are supposed to link together, so 18 was the 8th term, so n is 8, minus 1, and we don't know the d. In fact, we know that we don't know the d because it said it was our question mark. So we can substitute that in. Now at this point, I check to see, do I only have one variable? Yes, I only have one variable, so I can go ahead and solve this. All right, so I would simplify what's in the parentheses first. We have 18 equals negative 10 plus 8 minus 1 is 7d. Now we can solve for d, so we would add 10. 28 equals 7d, divide by 7. D equals 4. So we found D equals 4. Now we ask ourselves, have we actually answered the question that they were asking us to do? Well, it asked us to find the common difference, and this is the common difference. So then I can go ahead and say my answer. So the common difference is 4. All right, so let's look at number 7. Number 7 asks us to find the 9th term, right? So basically, right away, we should know a sub n. We don't know, but we're looking for it, and we're looking for the 9th term specifically. The first term is 17, so that tells me a sub 1 is 17. Oh, but then they tell me what the 4th term is. So this actually is going to be a goal much later on. So this I'm going to save for dealing with later because they actually told us what a sub 4 is. So a sub n in this case is actually dealing with the 4th term, which is 38. And since I put in a 4 in place of my n, that means n is 4. All right, so let's look at our formula. So a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. So in place of a sub n, we know that the value of the 4th term is 38, so we're going to put 38 in here. And right away, I'd put a 4 in place of the n because we're saying the 4th term is 38. The first term is 17, so this will be 17 plus 4 minus 1 times d. At this point, I notice that I only have one variable, so I should try and solve for that variable. So 38 equals 17. 4 plus 1 is giving me a 3, right? So plus 3 times d. So I can subtract 17 to get d alone, would be 21 equals 3d, divide by 3. And that tells me d equals 7. So I've gotten to this as my answer, but did it ask me for the common difference? No, it didn't ask for the common difference, which means we need to start dealing with this step 4 and step 5, because if this didn't answer it, then we need to go on to those extra steps. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to write our general formula based on this. So remember, our general formula starts out as a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. See how you definitely have to have that formula memorized? So now my general formula means I don't know what variable I'm looking for. I still know my first value, which is 17, plus I don't know what value we're looking for, so my n is still an n, but now I know my d is 7. So to write our general formula, just like we did before, we leave our a sub n and our n as variables, and then we simplify. So we distribute this in, and we'd get a sub n equals 17 plus 7n minus 7. And then we can combine our like terms, so a sub n equals 7n plus 10. So now this is my general formula, which was step 4. But the question is, again, go back, just like you used to do in geometry. Does this answer the question that they're asking? No, it didn't ask for a general formula, but now that I have a general formula, I should be able to find the 9th term. Because remember, this 9th term is saying a sub 9, so that tells me that my n is 9 because I'm looking for my 9th term. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do now. So we're going to find a sub 9, which is 7 times 9 plus 10. Well, 7 times 9 is 63, plus 10 would be 73. So I know that my 9th term is 73. And that is what they're asking us for. So we finally have gotten to our final answer. So I can say the 9th term is 73. Okay, so just make sure when you're going through these, once you've substituted everything in, see whether or not that's the actual answer. In this case, we found the common difference, and that wasn't the answer, so we had to take it a step further. So now you're going to try problems 8 and 9 on your own, and we will go over them in class tomorrow.